How's it going, everybody? Another episode of the Immersive Podcast. We were going to do something live, but we're doing another episode of the Immersive Podcast, and we're happy to be here with Dotan and Tevelle from GFL, and my lovely producer Jane is here. Say hello. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing good. We're feeling good. We're very honored to be here, so thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Love what you guys are doing and starting to create out there in the world, making some ripples. Don't we all?
Not as much as you guys. I mean, you guys are into a lot of stuff, right? You're always tapped into the next big thing. What are you guys up to? Any new projects?
No competition. All boats are rising with a high tide, I think.
For those of you who don't know, my dad and I started a clothing company called Galactic Federation of Light, and we make clothing to activate people to represent lightworkers and starseeds in the community and help people reach a higher level of collective consciousness. So that's what we've been up to, and we've been dabbling in new projects, and some things are happening in the horizon, and we're very excited for it.
Right. And for me, the most exciting thing that we're gonna do and we're gonna be doing soon, we partnered with Arcturus Ra. Okay, so and Arcturus Ra is a physicist, 3D physicist / channeler that brings a lot of information, that downloads a lot of information, and he's building us a device that can actually charge all of our garments. So basically, before we ship a garment to a person, we're going to photonically charge it.
Charge the photons of the garment.
Exactly, and make the garments even radiate and be a little bit better. So when you wear it, it will last for a longer time. It will make you feel a certain way. It will help you raise your frequency. And we're saying already that garments can raise our frequency. They can change our frequency. They can lower our frequency. It really depends how they're done, in what kind of environment, what kind of intention was infused into those garments, into those fibers. Because as we started to realize, everything carries energy. Right? Everything is energy, everything is energetic, and everything that we do, everything that we give to other people contains certain kind of energy. We all seen those the Japanese researcher that did in water, right?
Dr. Morimoto,
hidden messages in water, right? How
crystalline structure in water. That was so cool.
Exactly.
And if your intention was love, the water froze in a beautiful crystalline structure. If your intention was I hate you, it wouldn't freeze at all. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was like an ugly veiled structure of an atom. This is absolutely insane, just with an intention. Very, very cool experiment.
So that was mind-blowing to me, and thinking about us, that we're 65-70% water.
A lot.
The way we speak to ourselves, right? The way we speak to others, the way we speak about others, it makes such on an atomic level difference in our body.
Definitely.
And the same thing with garments that we wear. So that's how we took it to that. So we're going to use the best fibers and organic, and we're going to infuse it with our intention of what it is that we're bringing into the world. And what's our intention? Raise frequency, right?
That's
totally
amazing.
I've heard linen.
Really cool.
That is really cool. I've heard linen is a very high frequency fabric.
So amazing. So linen is resonating on 5,000 millihertz, I think it is.
Isn't that crazy? It's like super
and
powerful.
So does wool.
Yes, wool too.
Now, is that like starkly in comparison to like the polyesters and spandex?
Those are toxic.
That like most people are wearing most of the
they
time.
Make you sick.
These days.
Yes, and they resonate on I think a 5.
Yeah.
Cottons on 100.
Organic,
Wow,
yeah.
so it's like
Cotton.
a big difference.
So big difference. So
Yeah.
wool, and listen to something very interesting that I learned when I read about it. When you take linen, very high frequency material, and you take wool, very high frequency material, you put them together, they cancel each other. So it comes down to zero.
So it's a
That's
zero.
right.
It's a neutral.
So it's
tell
a
you-
zero.
They
And
tell you
that's
never to
very-
wear wool and linen together. That was always, they told you growing up.
Exactly. So
Even in
growing
the
up,
King
and
James
that
Bible,
can-
it's in all
that
the
can-
it's in the
exactly.
Torah.
It's
But who
in
knew?
the Torah, in the
Mhm.
Bible. They call it shatnez. You know how they have those like robes
Yeah.
for prayer. So they always
Yeah.
say you don't mix wool and linen together. And there was no explanation to it. And now with today's science, we understand that they already knew that, or they understood it thousands of years ago.
I
That
think
is
that's
so crazy.
always
I
the
wonder if they
case.
could take copper and make it into a thread, because copper is such healing properties. It's antimicrobial, and it's pretty much, so
Yeah,
in
they
touch
do that
with.
with.
They do
There's some
that?
people doing that with like not
Socks.
clothing that I've seen, but like socks,
Socks.
and like
Ah.
braces for the elbows and knees and
Yes.
ankles and things like that.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
seen some
I've-
copper implemented in that arena.
Yes.
Dotan, you probably have seen it more being in the fashion industry,
I've seen it in socks. I've seen a company that does fibers made out of copper or infused with copper or done somewhere with copper into socks, and saying how it helps you ground
Mhm.
yourself better, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So there's so many
absolutely.
things that are coming out there that
It's
we're just
exciting.
like, whoa, there's so much knowledge, right?
That's true. There is. That's an interesting point. There is an absolute like outburst of just knowledge right now that's completely related to disclosure and
It
just
almost,
hours of the people taking their power back. But it's almost overwhelming at times, just how much information is being thrown out there, how many rabbit holes there are to go down. It can be overwhelming, but that's what I think the great kind of theme of at least what I'm doing right now is, the podcast and just having people like you guys are amazing. You're taking your experience in the garment industry in the way that I just heard you explain your relationship in the garment industry to Lightwork, to how you can take that personal passion and gift of yours and turn it into Lightwork. Was just like the most well-spoken, articulately said 5-minute speech on like what it means to be a light worker to me, because it has, being a light worker, etc. We don't have to put the label on it, but I think common misconception is that they're all speaking light language and we're all master meditators and we're all this, we're all that, and there is no real label on it. I mean, it's what can you bring to the ascension process to the new earth? What can you bring? What if you're ready to serve? And just how you explain what you're doing with just garments, just as an example, it's just beautiful. It's just I like
Right.
great regrets too. It's just an amazing example for anybody out there who's like,
there,
how can I? Yeah,
but
there's a way.
it goes so beyond that, because not only did you leave the fashion industry, but I remember one of our first conversations, I was like, oh, do you need a celebrity spokesperson? Because, we all know people, maybe I can, reach out. And your mission was to only find those people that you screened and made sure that they were like heart-centric and they were doing it for the right reasons. And you could have taken all of these huge celebrities that maybe would have blown up the brand the first week, but you did it right. Like, you put all intention, plus your family business, like everything about you guys is so legitimate and so authentic. And that's what makes it like the brand that I even want to wear. And it's so soft and it's just awesome.
Thank
And
you.
I am, by the way, I'm not an ambassador. So this is, me just telling you how much I love their stuff. But I'm not even, I don't
Thank
work for
you.
the
Just-
company.
just
But then
raw
again, wait,
approval.
Tyler, we're gonna get you dressed up soon. But wait a
Yeah,
second.
we're gonna get me suited up soon. Just the mail, we can't control the mail. We wanted to meet up
Yeah.
record today, and I didn't receive my GFL package yet.
Not
But that's
yet,
not
not yet.
anybody's fault. This is just, the universe didn't align that way.
I didn't mean to rub it in. I'm sorry.
But-
I didn't,
At least we've got Jane and some GFL gear today. Thank
So
you,
I have a
Yeah.
question for both of you,
Mhm.
really, and this is something we were talking about yesterday. And yesterday we had an old friend from the world of fashion that came in, and we asked him to mentor us through how to do PR even in a deeper and he was asking us a question, and he's like, "You guys wanna send your message to the world. You guys want to reach as many people as you can. What's the problem of you guys using people that are not light workers according to your terms?" And we were like puzzled with it because, wait a second, maybe he's right. Maybe we're blocking ourselves from, because he said, listen, if you're going to use that and that person, you're going to reach another 1 million people that never heard of you.
Oh.
And maybe inside there are
They'll
those,
shift.
they will shift and they will
Mhm.
learn and they will want to wear the stripe of light because it resembles who they are. So are you really missing on people and missing on opportunities by being so selective, or you being true to who you think you are, and that's the way? What do you think the right answer to this?
I have a great idea. How about you only choose those people who are celebrities, spokespeople that are in line with your heart and your message and your vision for the company. It doesn't have to be light work. It could be just being a kind person that wants to give back, whatever you're aligned
So
with.
the
I think
example he actually gave us yesterday was he has a friend who's very spiritually enlightened, and she wrote this book, and she's like the biggest like heart opener woman you could have ever met. And he had pitched to the Oprah show like an opportunity for her to be on the Oprah show and get interviewed and sell a bunch of books, and 9 million people were watching. And she got there.
audience.
He felt an immediate like disconnect. And he like told her after, he was like, you had 9 million opportunities to sell your book. But I think that the conflict within us is like knowing Oprah Winfrey's past and like who she is and who she represents, like how far does our integrity go as a brand? Like what are we willing to compromise within ourselves in order to succeed? Because we do live in a capitalistic society, and there's no escaping that. But at the same time, like as light workers, like how do we navigate the 3D, and how do we, come out still aligned with ourselves and not quote unquote selling our souls?
Totally.
So I feel like I'm taking on a big task with Dotan, I'm kind of answering your question, and Tevelle's tag on there. I'm kind of responding to that too as well. I feel like, it's not hubris, it's not delusion of grandeur for somebody like myself personally to take on the task of tackling that very problem. How do you, in regards to Lightwork, ascension, the new earth, ushering in what is the new earth, and any to even get deeper, level 1 society, a society where technology is no longer suppressed, maybe a society that doesn't depend on fossil fuels, society that works with energy as a currency. I don't know. There's a million possibilities that we could go down with full disclosure. But that's kind of where I feel I fit in. And I went through a long period of dark night of the soul cliche, as we say it, but it is true. That's what it was. A couple of years of just dark night of the soul where I wasn't really doing a ton besides, just helping people promote things within this quote unquote spirituality community and things like that. But I think what I personally bring to the table and what I've tried to include with the Immersive Podcast and what I'm trying to do, what I have set out to do, and what I think I can contribute is, prior to having that big wake up and having that moment of identifying with as an awakened soul, someone who wanted to go down the actual path of seeking self with a capital S, I've really always lived life like leaning fully in, fully life lived from the edge, not the center, not the safe spot. And there's always been crazy, crazy highs and crazy, crazy lows. I've had a lot of different situations. I've had a lot of different people. And, I feel like I'm in a position to be a bridge to what I believe in, which is, I think, is all encompassed under the term light work. Disclosure, altruism, light work, new earth, charity, just helping your fellow human, and then raising up to maybe a level 1 society where, we're in a place to, as a species, communicating with other species, not just on a singular
Right.
level, but as a society. And I know that's where I start to, really intrigue some people and really lose others. But I'd like to be in the place to be the bridge where, somebody who's had that seed planted, but maybe just not watered enough yet, just might be willing to listen. My background is in the music industry. Had a little bit of a sordid past. I went through a period in my mid-20s where, I kind of associated with some shady characters and,
So
still
this
lived
is a perfect example. At 20 years old, if you were in that big band, I won't say the name, and they had approached you and said, wow, this person's a huge celebrity, let's make him a spokesperson. They might have seen a side of you back then that wasn't ready to be a light worker of sorts. But after going through all your transitions, right, because you said no to certain things, you didn't sign contracts, you grew up, evolved, now you truly are what is considered a light worker. So that's why it's hard to judge a celebrity, because people are shifting every day. People are changing every day. And although Oprah, maybe, I don't know what she's got going on, but I'll tell you, like even Jim Brewer, he all of a sudden is spiritual. And Jamie Kennedy, these were comedians that it shocked me, to see like, wow, look at them. They're awake and they're trying to, Roseanne Barr, another one. And then Danica Patrick, she's got a show. So it's almost like, it's not that you're not going against what you believe, because you're still holding true to your beliefs and your vision, but you're giving people a chance to say, maybe they've woken up, maybe they've come to the light. And to just completely say, well, they fall in that category, then yeah, maybe you're selling yourself short, but you will only know that when you speak to them and you see where their heart is at this point, and if they're ready to be that, light and beacon for others, or if they're still kind of waking up. But I think it's cool, very cool. I also noticed that I was on your website. I had no idea, so thank you. I was like,
Right?
an official light worker.
I was like, wow, I made it on their website. This is so cool. I know. I'm like, I better just start doing some like events. Or do you guys ever do pop-up events or anything? Like, that'd be so cool.
Mention that. We actually spoke to the person yesterday about doing pop-up events, but we recently held a trans channeling event at our home with Lydia Devi. And that was so powerful. I have never experienced anything like it. And for 2 hours, we meditated together and we had tea and like little snacks, but it was super powerful. People coming together with like an intention and activating each other. And we did like so much work there. It was crazy.
That must have been amazing. Like, I love trans channelers. One of the Immersion Podcast episodes, one of the first ones that Tyler did, was with a famous trans channeler. I don't know if you've heard of him, Tom Massari. He channels. So he's actually the one, he taught like Lisa Royal Holt and Bashar. He was Bashar's teacher and mentor. He was actually in his movie First Contact.
Yeah,
he plays a guy like this, saying like, there's someone here that wants to speak to you.
Daryl Anka once wandered into Tom Massari's channeling class, and
that's how he kind of connected him.
Wow.
So Tom and I are family now. Like, it's been 3 years. So Tom Massari, I had to introduce him to Tyler. I'm like, you got to interview him, and also, ask him personal questions, because Tyler's gone through a lot. Like, it's time to do it. And it was so cool because for 3 years, Tom Massari Abram has been the one that when I was like, why am I saying 333? I'm losing my mind and all that stuff. And he was like, you're not from these, from Earth, you're from 3 star systems. And I was like, what? So when I thought I was losing my mind, the trans channeler, was the reason that I just kept following the breadcrumbs and putting the story together. And then it led me to Sarah Bressman Cosme and Atlantis. And it was like one thing after the other. And it all came together so crazy because right when we started the podcast, the first person that reached out to me when I wasn't even like doing anything and I had no experience was Ishmael Perez. And then when we decided the podcast, the first person that reached out to Tyler was Ishmael Perez. So I don't believe in, you know, coincidences. I believe in coinciding instances. So I was like, that's a sign, another sign. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a push. I mean, because I had been, like I said, you know, kind of busy with 3D life circumstances and talking about starting a podcast to myself and to my, you know, inner circle, which Jane is a part
To
of.
your inner 12 entities and monads.
But not really doing anything about it. And then all of a sudden, one day, yeah, Ishmael just out of nowhere messaged me and said, "Hey, Tyler, I think you should do you should therapy. You should do an interview." Like,
Did you know him from before or
no.
I'm telling you, we're all in the same. We're in the same
So-
mothership in the Pleiades in immersion pods. We're all there. And I said this 3 years ago to Abram Tomasari. I said, I know this is what's going on. And he was like, I cannot tell you that. And at the end of the day, he actually verified that we are in a mothership in the Pleiades. Now, believe what you want, because people come from all over. Some are from Source, some are angelics. But I have known that I have 12 ET or entities coming into
Monads.
me. Monads. And I only saw Unlocking the Soul 2 recently, which came out 4 months ago. And in that documentary, there's a documentary, they talk about there's 12 from the monad. You get 12 entities coming into each human. Some are having physical incarnations on Earth, and then some are in the Pleiades on a ship, and some are in other star systems. So now I'm not crazy, and I don't care, and I'm saying it to the world. There's some truth
He
to
cited
it.
Sarah Cosme in that documentary, even
Oh
though
my God,
she
it was
didn't
all
know
about
about
her.
it when I told her about it. She's like, I didn't know they made a
They reference
documentary
like
using my
Dolores
words.
Cannon, Sarah. It's
But
all
I'm going to
Sarah.
ask her about that stuff because, you know,
Yeah.
now I'm curious.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ask her all about the monads and all the different questions. And Debbie confirmed it too. So I don't know, you guys. Do you have a different belief system? What's yours?
well, you know, for me it's intriguing that we are always referring back to the same numbers. And so you were talking about the 12 again. So look at the 12 as a number. It's like the number of the disciples,
Yep.
right? The number of the tribes, the 12 tribes. I was just in
The zodiacs,
exactly
the months,
Zodiac. That
months of
brings
the
us
year.
Months.
Zodiac. So I was just in Tulum over there, and we did a tour, and they were talking about the gods. So how many gods they had? That 13 gods, 12 plus one major god.
Plus,
Mhm.
plus the main.
So it all goes back to the zodiac. So there's this amazing mechanism that was created by someone. Okay,
Yeah,
that
Someone.
by
our higher selves.
by our higher selves.
That used to be Anunnaki at some point. I was kidding.
and this mechanism is amazing, and the more we look into it and we start to understand the secrets and the synchronicity of why things are happening the way they're happening, it can tell us a lot about ourselves, about our past and our future. And for me, it's like, wow, there's this huge amazing thing that we're part of, and we're just living the reality that we think we're living in right now.
Yeah.
We are part of so many different dimensions.
But we're in a dream. Don't you think we're in a dream,
I
right?
have a different answer from you.
It's kind of a metaphor.
I sometimes feel like we're living in a simulation. I know that's not unheard of, but I don't know if you guys have seen like the Hunger Games where like there are people
Yes.
sitting around and then like that world isn't there and then people just like live in there. And
Mhm.
recently
Yep.
it's been happening to me where I'll go to grocery stores and like I'll feel like I'm in sort of like a video game and that like nothing is real and like the fluorescent lights like freak me out and like I feel like the people aren't real and like I don't like grocery stores.
I don't either. I do all my shopping online. I use Prime now. It's the best.
You know what? Take a hint, but
It's Whole Foods.
yeah, Whole Foods for me is
Whole
also
Foods delivery.
one. And sometimes I know that there's like higher knowledge, higher beings that are sort of helping us, but at the same time, like I feel there's also like this theory on TikTok about like the back rooms, and I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Yeah,
Like,
liminal spaces, the back rooms, all that stuff. I think I'd eat on that actually. I went down that rabbit hole.
I go down that rabbit hole. Like,
I agree with you.
Like the seams will start to rip, and like I'll just like not be here anymore. And it just feels a little bit like the Matrix, like the movie They Live, and like
there's glitches
happening. Exactly.
Deja vu, Mandela effects, things you can't explain. First of all, we're made of light, right? If we're made of light and we're mostly empty space, how could this be real? It might feel tangible and real, but also it's our mind's interpretation. So everything is projected through the mind. We go to sleep at night and we're unconscious. Well, where do we go? So when we're awake, our avatar is awake, we're in the dream or the simulation that we're projecting through our mind, which is a computer. And the reason it's a simulation, or at least for my argument's sake, is that if you look at virtual reality, it can feel so real when it really is well done and it gets into your head. You can lose yourself in video games. You can lose yourself when you're driving. But obviously, as things advance, they're going to get more real and it's going to be more difficult to tell. But for me, how I can tell is that I will literally feel a certain way and all the conditions around me, if I'm stressed out, everything around me reflects stress. But as soon as I calm myself down and I come back into that same exact environment, everybody is different because I'm different. So if it's some sort of game or simulation where we're the players, we're not the NPCs or the primary players, however you want to look at it, we're still controlling it in a sense. So it's like we're being controlled like Sims with our higher selves at immersion pods, but we have that final decision of free will to say, no, I'm not going to go down that way. I'm going to go a different way. And that's why we're so powerful, because we have all of this input from the highest realms, but we're the one having this experience. And we're the one that can say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore and end the game, which you shouldn't do because then you're in that karma, but we have the ability to also say, I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. And then flip the energy and all of a sudden magic happens. So,
but do you think free will is like an illusion, like the illusion of choice? Like, for example, Neo in the Matrix, I don't think that there's another timeline where he would have chosen the blue pill. Like everything was set for him to choose.
Right. Or when the Oracle hands him the candy and
right. And they
of course knows he's going to take it.
They still gave him the illusion of choice. Like you have the power, but did
really valid point.
But that's the thing. So the whole point is to go within the heart space, right? To go within because the answer's within because we're source incarnate. But in the game, they have to make it as tricky as possible. So the Earth game is one of the hardest. So it's
I'm
an
inversion.
Cut in
on that.
It's an inversion.
I think there's too many at that point. I think it's fun, to talk about and like go down those. And of course, our language as humans, whether it be English or Hebrew or Spanish or whatever language we're speaking, human speech is just limited. We can't talk about the divine in the way that it's meant to be talked about.
We're only finite beings.
I don't know that it is meant to be talked about.
Exactly.
I believe we're all kind of fractals, pieces, whatever. I really shy away from labels because I think that is all a part of it's more than just the divide and conquer structure. Divide and conquer is easy. That's just, you have to get people split. So that's it. You got to split. But when you throw labels on everything like in the big picture of things, then you got people are within the same community and who are of like mind, people who are, at their raw heart, probably like lightworkers. They're probably awakened souls who have some calling, they have some longing for home, something. They call it something. For everybody calls things a different thing, and we get caught up in arguing over like simulation theory versus flat Earth versus Hollow Earth versus ET beings versus this versus that.
But what if it's not arguing? What if it's not arguing at all? What if it's people finding their people? Because I know, and I found out recently from Gail, a bougie healer, and I said to her, well, I'm some weirdo that, I might be half a psychic, but I think I have 12 people streaming into me at immersion pods and Pleiades. And she goes, so do I. I said, what? She goes, oh, I'm on a Pleiadian ship streaming into me too. For the first time in my life, I was like, I can have a friend that I'm not afraid to be my true self with. So like, I don't think it's so much who's right, who's wrong, because everybody's right in their own perspective and their own experience. We came here to have individual experiences. But it's nice when you connect back with those fractals of those people that you never thought you'd meet because you always felt like a misfit because everybody else wanted to do the normal things. And all some of us want to do is stare at the stars or go in our minds or create. So it's really a mind game where you might think you don't have free will. Just say somebody's imprisoned and they're in a very difficult situation. But look at Nelson Mandela. Like even when he was in prison, he took that time to transmute it into something amazing. And he came out and became president. Now in the Mandela effect, I remembered him dying, but again, we won't get into that because that's timelines. It's a whole nother episode. But truly, you know, it's really what you perceive is what you believe. So if somebody wants to believe that they came down from, you know, the clouds and they're made of clouds and they truly believe that, well, then in their framework and where the consciousness, that's what they believe. And they might be connected to that and good for them. But for me, I know it's 12 immersion pods and I know we're in a simulation that we're all creating. And we have that ability with the free will to say, if we stop, at least stay at peace, then the free will decides, even if I'm imprisoned, to not be tortured because within yourself, you go within. And it may not be the best example, but it's still taking your power back and transmuting it. So if you get through that experience, they never broke you because you didn't allow them to. And that's the free will part of being able to say, I don't consent. And if they do it and you die as a martyr, well, then that's really hard. But then we know some people made soul contracts and that's a whole other thing to get into. So I hope that answers the simulation thing because I'm so with you. But I just have some immersion pods and the galactic level that are in my simulation. It's like Total Recall. That's what I always feel like.
I've just zoomed out into a larger view of what ascension means, and really just the definition of ascension versus, and actually Ishmael Perez actually really broke this well down to me just by defining it and laying it out to me in not my own words, but ascension versus ascension. And ascension, you know, of course, is pieces
the monads
of the whole
again
separating to have experiences, and then the ascension is those pieces coming back together to realize that they're part of the one. And I think there's plenty of room for people to have a immersion pod, monad philosophy and everything like that. And also the people who
it's
are
the
more
definition of a
concerned
descension.
with,
they descend into our physical body. That's how the ascension happens. We make
and
our
the
light
people
bodies
who are
ready.
more concerned with, you know, suppressed technology or more real world problems, whatever it may be. I think a lot of those people's hearts are in the same place. And, you know, people talk about critical mass as far as an awakening to new earth. And, you know, what it would really take for our collective common consciousness to reach a point where we are able to join a galactic society, become a level 1 society. It's something I happen to believe in is, you know, some sort of critical mass theory. I think it does take a certain amount of people, you know, a tipping point of sorts. And I think we're out there. I think we're all in the same spirit. I think we all have the same intention. And I think, call me crazy, but it's just a matter of bringing together the people who have that same passion and fire, but who are divided by camp of, or the alien camp, or the flat earth camp, or the this camp, or that camp. Like, no, don't you see? We're all against being suppressed by a system that we didn't create that doesn't benefit us. That's
we're all one, man. We're just one big ball of energy.
It's just not loving in nature, and we're, you know, ascend from there. Of course, like a pyramid, it doesn't have to be so wrongly or so, you know, definitively defined at the beginning. I just think it's essentially people getting better, people coming together, people realizing that our, you know, our labels, our causes may be different, but our hearts are in a similar position.
And what if you're talking about being suppressed by a system that we did not design and we did not want and we did not choose? But what if that system is actually the catalyst for us to come back to who we truly, truly are? And, you know, kind of like how a diamond is being made, like
made out of pressure,
right? Yeah. So it's like that pressure that will define who we are, so we can look down deep. Because when we look outside, it's so chaotic. Everybody looking outside now, it's like, wait a second, where does the truth really lies? And you have to look back inside. So right here, And from here, we need to emerge. Because I think that, sometimes when you ask people about, how 5D looks like and how a world of only light looks like, then it's like, wait a second, isn't that going to be a bit boring and not really challenging enough for us? Right?
Sunny days wouldn't be special if it wasn't for rain, right?
Right. So we do need that, and especially at this time of our evolution.
Definitely. We would be in shock if all of a sudden we woke up and we were light bodies and we didn't eat food or anything. And, life was totally different. We need that nice transition. I totally agree with you.
So we're in that transition right now. And all we need to do is accept it and immerse ourselves into being us, into what comes out, the deeper truths that we hold inside, because we do have all that knowledge, and it's time to just let it all come up.
I love it.
The deeper we go in,
I love it.
the more things will come out. Yes, Tevelle, sorry.
Yeah, Tevelle. Well said.
Taylor said about labels, and I think that we're living in a time where, as we know, a country divided is a country controlled. And with these labels, people become the others, whether you're Republican or Democratic, whether you're Black or white, whether you're Jewish or Christian, it doesn't matter. And we're losing sight of the oneness that, is in all of us, and connecting and staying beyond those labels, and having grace and empathy and compassion with our neighbors, and loving themselves like we love, loving them as we love ourselves. And I think that is what's going to become transformative and help us ascend to just totally take off into another dimension. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree to that. It totally is. I think what transforms, it's kind of I always talk myself into this really quick, silly corner where I end up at in 3 moves of the thought. Love's the answer. Well, it's kind of corny. But
it's true though.
It's kind of true. I agree with everything you said there. It's the labels. Yeah, a country divided is a country controlled, and what better than a country divided, not one way, but 1,500 different ways into 16,000 different subsections. Yeah, I think labels are okay. It's okay for people to identify with things and such, but they can also be a situation where it creates the others, and that's
the separation. We don't want the separation.
Dissension, not the ascension.
Yeah. And that's why they play those games, and the agendas is to cause these wars, to cause separation. And like you said, it's all about coming back to humanity. We're all just human beings, and we all matter, and there's innocent lives at stake. And when I asked the channeler friend that we talked about, Abram, I was like, well, what's the critical mass? How awake is everybody? How far are we? And he said, it's still very low. And I was like, well, what can we do with these mass meditations? How can we help? And he said that the storms are going to get worse. And this is 9 months ago. And then he said it again 6 months ago. And they said it to Tyler. He said, Mother Earth is angry. She needs to be soothed. We forget that our major part, if we really believe this whole Lightworker thing, which I do, is that we came here at this moment, which is such a pivotal moment, to help Mother Earth ascend. And we're like fleas on a dog to her, because our souls can use these vessels, but she is the celestial being. And for her to ascend properly, she needs some love, because it's not about the sky and the trees and the grass and the water. It's
Mama's
we don't
gotta feel appreciated.
Yeah, you don't just say, "Oh, great, Mom, I got your hair, I got your nails." Yeah, It's how about, Mom? Thank you for not killing us all and just earthquakes everywhere. And he said, if we did that, if we actually soothed Mother Earth, that we would help with the consciousness, because through us, it starts within. We find peace within ourselves. And then that, as a monad, brings that energy down into Mother Earth, which is supposed to lift her up as we lift ourselves up. So on that note, if you guys, anything you want to do, I'm doing a Mother Earth project, just totally separate, where I'm trying to create music and art from all different people and just put it on showcase on, pages and all of that, and on the Instagram, so that at least intention is out there that we did something, So
It's beautiful.
That is this.
So, can you define a monad for me? Because I fear I'm a little lost with that.
thank you. I only recently learned about this too, and Tyler might have a better understanding of it. But basically,
I just spoke to Debbie Solaris,
uh,
and so with the concept of the oversoul, are we familiar with the concept of the oversoul?
it's like your soul family,
we have a
soul group.
and then we have, this is soul theory. This isn't my research, but just from what I've read and from
Dolores Cannon,
and
all these,
people who study this type of thing, supposedly there's an oversoul of the soul, which is really the higher self, and also the soul family, and channelers and hypnotists have recently discovered, I'm not sure how recently, but that it's not just one oversoul, like per person, so to speak, but it's more that the oversoul is made up of 12 or 13. There comes that number again. And that's the term monads, the pieces that make up the oversoul of each person. So there's not just, again, this isn't my theory, but I'm just explaining as I've learned and been described to me, that the oversoul is actually comprised of 12 or 13 monads, alternate souls who are kind of streaming in and out at all times. So a person, when you see them on one day, they may be X way, and you see them 4 months later and you haven't seen them in a while, and they're totally different. You wonder why. Maybe they're not totally different. Maybe you're just getting a different version of their oversoul. Again, this is all
I like
theory.
to think of it as like the monads, because then they offshoot into the 12 aspects of you. So it's like each one of us has our own monad, which is like our own teacher, like our elder. That's like, okay, we're going to go down there, come up and report back to me. And then those offshoots of us, apparently, according to many doctors who've done regression therapies and written books, is that those are the ones that can come from different star systems and different places that come into your human avatar. And that's where I was like, because it made sense that, maybe that could be possibly one of the ways people get here. But there's many ways. But anyway, it was in the documentary Unlocking the Soul 2, which I highly recommend. It's amazing. And Unlocking the Soul 1 was also amazing. You can watch on YouTube.
Caroline Corey movies?
Corey movies?
Caroline Corey.
Oh
yeah.
I know her. She's wonderful. Yeah, Gaia.
She's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. She has this movie called Superhuman, and we just watched it. And oh my God, it was so
I'm gonna watch it. That's awesome.
She talks a lot about like remote viewing and just like the powers that we inherently have, but we haven't been taught in schools to like harness and cultivate. And how, like, there's this one experiment where for weeks children are like blinded, and then someone will show them a color and they'll intuitively know the color, and they like get really good at it. And so like it'll be like yellow, green, like red, blue, blah blah blah, and intuitively like they just know. And it's really cool that we have all of these like powers that we have never really known, or like thought that were fictional, and it's
that's the key.
I totally agree there. So I think we're, of course, that's a certainty that there's capabilities of the human, that every human, not just some extraordinary humans, but all of us, we have abilities within us that we may not know about, or at least even the abilities we have.
Can I give an example?
I'm going
to give an example. So when I've known Tyler for a little while, and I had no idea. So one day I was like, I want to learn guitar, because all these like childhood memories are coming back and all these gifts are coming online. And I'm like, I'm going to be guitar. And then I find out that he's like a music prodigy and can play guitar and sing. But again, like hadn't done it in years. So like, it's almost like these childlike abilities that we were into and these gifts are coming back online. Have you guys noticed that? Like a playful energy?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Did I embarrass you, Tyler? I'm sorry. Maybe one day he'll play.
All praise is welcome, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I think, each one of us comes into this lifetime, like having our gifts and then like cultivating others. And, you were blessed with the gift of music, and we're all just sort of like contributing to this movement in any way that we know how, which is amazing.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, if you have any pop-up events that you're setting up, please let me know because I want to support them, or anything else you guys have going on.
Right.
And whatever we can do to support you, let us
Same
know. Okay?
here. We're supporting everybody in this movement as well as you guys with your Mother Earth project and your podcast, and yeah, it's been amazing.
Well, you can change it to the GFL Mother Earth Project because basically it's just me. I channeled some song with it's AI, but I did the lyrics. It's about Mother Earth, and I made some video with just Earth. And then I said,
Being
why did I
modest.
do this?
She has 7 or 8 fully produced, released songs.
Oh,
on
really?
Anybody
Spotify.
can do it.
They're not.
Anybody can do it.
She's underselling herself.
So what I'm here to do, just my thing is to show people that you can use technology and you can make your dreams come true if you're creative, but maybe you're not like a musical prodigy, but you've always wanted to be like a DJ since you were 20 years old in college. You get to live those dreams today. And that's the whole thing, is to create, because if we transmute the worst moments in our life, at the end of the day, we have art and we turn it into something beautiful like the lotus flower.
Yeah.
But if we go through pain and then we just have that pain, it's like our energy was taken from us. But we can take it back by creating something beautiful and liberating ourselves, at least through art and expression.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
And share it. It's a lot about sharing your gifts with others, because once you share your gifts and what really moves you, it sparks something with somebody else's, and it creates a chain reaction out there. So the fact that you're doing it is amazing. So we would love to hear those. Now that we know that there's how many, Tyler? 7 or 8?
She's got them on Spotify. She's being
as soon as
modest.
Tyler sings you a song,
her same handle as her Instagram. She's on Spotify.
Well, anyway, I
some songs
dedicate
up
any
there.
of the songs out there to free license for anybody that wants to use them, because I just wanted to show people that, look, you can become a Spotify artist with no skills, no talent, and you can make music that, I love my music. I don't care if anyone doesn't listen to it. I listen to it every day, and it's high frequency, and it's embedded with lyrics that are about love and, sharing and caring and letting go. So,
By the way, did you record them in any kind of frequency, or you just 440?
I couldn't do the 432 versus 440 because everything's, I'm not, but I asked Tyler if he could record in 432, and he's going to try to create high frequency
That's kind of like a side
music.
project, is like trying to embed music recorded not just in 432, but embedding certain the musical scale. And here comes that number. It's actually 13, but there's only 13 notes in the musical scale, which is actually flabbergasting, because every sound you ever heard is coming from those 13 notes. Every song, every hymn, every choir, every harmony you ever heard is only comprised of those 13 notes. And that's, I think, what's so awesome about music, is out of just 13 notes, there's still so much that has not been created in it.
So record a song in 432 because we're desperately awaiting it. And now you have to.
There are certain, if you believe in gematria and sacred geometry and things like that, there are certain, in just numerology, astrology and stuff, there's certain, the musical scale is completely governed by 13 notes and their relationship to one another. So you can work with the Fibonacci sequence for certain
solfeggio
phrases
frequencies.
Certain phrases within gematria, and they can be played within not only through instrument, but then they can also be embedded with a 432 frequency or like a 111 frequency.
So I'm going to write a song about the GFL, and he's going to write a song for the GFL in a higher frequency. And then we're going to put those two songs out there and see who dances more and has fun at parties and who's happier and who's like hugging each other. We'll see which one's like more embedded with love. And then we'll put your clothing on, which is embedded with frequencies. So like everybody will just be completely tripping out on love. It'll be awesome.
God, that'll be so cool. I love that.
That'd be so fun.
Yes.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And we'll podcast from there and interview all the people. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel amazing? Yes. Sorry, I'm such a dork. Well, thank you guys. I know it's
Thank you
been a
so
little
much
time.
for having us. This was so much fun, and I think conversations like these are like what is fueling this movement.
Totally.
100%. People from different
waking people up.
Waking
Yep.
people up. Absolutely.
Making people up. And
The Great Awakening.
kind of like asking, what's a light worker? So how do you define a light worker? What is a light worker? It's just creating a conversation that,
Right.
makes
A
people
dialogue.
think and makes people want to be part of something that is bigger than them, because we're like so
Especially
always
if it's cool clothing and it's cool vibe. Because when I first heard Lightworker in like 2020, I was like, Lightworker, Starseed. Like, I had no idea. And now it's like, I'm proud to be a Lightworker and wearing a Lightworker shirt. But like, it takes that adjustment when you come from that other reality of like, what do you mean a Lightworker? Do you like do stuff with light? So it's kind of like making it cool. I don't know. With you guys, at least, I think you made it really cool.
It's a transition. It's an awakening, like Dotan says so well. It's an awakening. It's a transition. It's a change, a shift.
I wish the people around me would wake up though, and like my vicinity.
And sometimes we get caught up in that, in 3D. That's what the 3D is. It's always there to remind us that there's something to ascend from.
That's true. It's the catalyst, as Dotan said. We need that catalyst.
Let's all be catalysts.
Yes, let's be good catalysts. Fun catalysts.
Right? Because,
Totally.
all we need to do is just, plant little seeds out there, and people will get it when it's their time.
Exactly.
And it's like when you go and you said you were talking about your dark night of the soul. And obviously a lot of things led into that for two years you just needed to go down deep, right, Tyler? You were talking about
pretty much, yeah. I thought I was going to try to help out the world and save the world, but ultimately it was just a couple of years of being angry and confused. But I came out on the other side, in a much better place. So,
and you needed to go through that at that certain time. Everything led you to that. And a lot of people are being led into that place right now. It's just this funnel that, we're all being led into it, whether we want to or not, right? It's just out there. It's like, we got to go through the process at one point or the other, right? Everybody will go through it, even the people around you, Jane. Even you said nobody's around me getting it.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what
be here. I'll be here when they're ready. When they're ready, we'll be here.
I think it's getting easier. It's getting more and more in. I don't want disclosure in the new earth to ever be mainstream, because by the time the new earth and ascension and quote true lightwork is mainstream, there won't be a mainstream anymore. We'll just be ascended. We'll be in a new place. We'll be in a new level of consciousness.
We'll be on galactic ships in the Pleiades.
Yeah, there's always there's always going to be those times where you're led down. Not just the one couple of year long dark night of the soul, but there's like little mini ones in between. We all have, even people who have been, quote unquote, awakened and been serving for a long time. I mean, little mini dark nights of the soul happen too. That's why we're all there for each other all the time. I don't think there should be any division. I don't think there should be anything but support amongst people who are of like heart, like mind, of like intention.
We should have like ascension sponsors, because like the people who are really going through it are the really sensitive ones. And if everyone had like an ascension sponsor, like when you have that dark night of the soul, you just call them up and be like, no, it's okay. I'm hearing voices too. Or, I'm going through this too. It's normal. That solar flare killed me. I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. Okay. And then you don't feel so crazy. So if everybody needs a sponsor.
1-800-Ascension.
Ascensionsponsor.com.
Or ascensionsponsor.com.
Yeah,
and you know what? It's a beautiful idea, because, we all going through, and I believe even us.
Yeah. I need help.
We're still going through what we need to go through. And there's still things for us to, challenges that we need to overcome, and things that we need to learn. We are not there yet by any means, but we're just opening our door, and we're opening. And the more information we get, it just brightens our mind and our heart and our being. With that, we can affect others and affect ourselves.
I love it. Thank you. You guys are awesome.
With that little bit of light, it's like it can't be let out. you're in a dark room, but you open a door where the light's on. Like, a lot of light streams out of that little crack. And when you open that door a little further, it just illuminates the entire hallway. Like, it's, you can't unsee, you can't unlearn. I think there was that was well said. I just wanted to kind of tap onto that because I really resonated with what you said there. I think it's a door. It's open and we can't shut it.
Exactly. Tyler, when people are asking me what's a light worker, sometimes when I wear the t-shirt, I'm saying I'm just the one responsible to turn on the lights.
They're like, what?
I'm just
what's a light worker? I don't know. I just turn on the switch. I'm the one on the switch.
I'm the light.
That's a cool job. It's funny. All right.
Guys, pleasure.
Such a pleasure. Awesome.
Guys,
all right,
absolutely.
We're here if you need anything at all. Thank you. And hopefully we'll be seeing you guys soon at one of these events that we're all going to. So
amazing.
Yeah, and you'll have your gear next time, Tyler, and you'll have to do some photo shoots.
I will be certainly rocking some GFL gear here shortly. No reason not today, aside from just the postal service.
You should do like a model shoot, and then we'll put on Instagram. With your guitar.
But GFL, the Immersive Podcast, and little Visco in the background. I think that's
I like it.
I like this on studio somebody's cell phone. Video strong. Not for connecting control without getting off. There we go. Yeah, Immersive Podcast, GFL, we're doing it at Unified TV as well. Shout out to them. They are also going to be helping us promotion for the Immersive Podcast. Got some really exciting guests coming up even in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. I'm trying to stay at that 2-episode week pace. Jane, I think we're doing a pretty good job with that.
Definitely. A lot of GFL ambassadors are coming on, so a lot of
GFL will be represented heavily, and just really looking forward to it.
The turkey's done. Sounds like a turkey or something. The oven's done. Thank you, guys. It was great seeing you. All right, have a great weekend.
Thank you so much for your time, Jane, as always.
Aw, thank you. Bye. Take it. Bye. Are we going to stay on? Or?
Hello.
Hello.